Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Previously, we wrapped up the investigations phase of this fourth case in the first game. Quite a mouthful. And now, armed with, how much? Okay, so we're walking into the trial here, walking into the court with one book receipt and a local map. Oh boy. Oh boy. You know, for how many videos, hours we spent investigating, we really didn't learn much now, did we? Oh, this is gonna be weird and interesting. Oh, let's get to it. Well, I never expected this. Who'd have thought we'd be back here again so soon?
We are on a study tour of Great Britain, with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest court procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible.
Well, yes, I suppose that's true, but for the person in the dock, it may well be his or her one and only time in court, and it could be life-changing. In which case, treating it as research may seem a little crass.
Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right.
Good morning? Oh, right. Our defendant. Ah, Mr. Natsume, good morning. Apparently this man, Sosuke Natsume, he's based on a real person who really lived. Is it just me or are his eyeballs redder than usual? Did he sleep at all? Anyway, yeah, Sosuke Natsume was a real person who really lived, who really was sent to Great Britain to study and learn. Apparently he wrote a book named I Am a Cat, which was his perspective of visiting London. Also completely unrelated to Sherlock Holmes, so it's a weird inclusion, I suppose, but sure.
Oh dear, are you alright? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot.
Oh! See, I did notice.
The early bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain.
Yes, I've heard that expression.
But I really don't want to catch a worm. So I tried desperately not to wake up early, but I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. And now, I'm absolutely exhausted as a result.
Do all literary people take things so literally?
Thank you for putting your faith in us today, Mr. Natsume. I wish I had 9 lives. My whole future hangs in the balance.
Wait, 9 lives? He is a cat. Well.
Too terrified to tremble.
Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor.
I can't do this. I can't take it. Although, welcome student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
Yes?
I caught a glimpse of the public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. It looked like the opening night of the opera. There were so many people. I had no idea my case was such a notorious affair here in London.
Yeah, why would this case attract so many people? Maybe to ogle at the foreigner? Or to ogle at the vampire? Neither did I. Do you know why that might be, Mr. Sato?
I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I have no idea.
So that all-knowing look on your face is just coincidence then, is it?
Don't hide the truth from me! It's because of the Reaper, isn't it?
Lord Van Zeeks? Is that right, Mr. Sato?
I purchased as many different newspapers as I could find this morning, and yes, Lord Van Zieks is on the front page of every one.
Oh. I knew it.
Sometime after the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper of the Bailey, he stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now, in fact, until the day before yesterday.
Ah, I see. He must have reappeared in court the day before yesterday, out of nowhere. But now the news has spread, literally. Yes, Inspector Gregson told us something similar, didn't he? The trial 2 days ago marked Lord Van Zieks' return to the courtroom after a very long hiatus. Oh, that might be Gregson. The trial of Magnus McGilded. Ugh, what a harrowing experience that was.
I believe that appearance made even greater waves here in the capital than today's.
But we wouldn't have realized, of course, having only just arrived in the country.
Why is the Reaper back in the Bailey so soon for what appears to be a mundane murder? That's the question the papers are asking, and they're all speculating various answers.
Mundane? Mundane? It's the most significant saga of the century to some of us.
Oh dear, I meant no offense, Mr. Natsume, but that is how the papers are describing it.
Well, lest we also forget the fact that it could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. But there's another blatant similarity with the trial of 2 days ago. Oh. Right. Ryunosuke actually managed to beat Van Zieks, didn't he?
Yes, I agree.
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire, it's you! Me? Well, I suppose that's true. Both times it is you who stands against this legendary prosecutor. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper! Please, I don't rub shoulders with Deathbringers.
I'm afraid that there's really only one other explanation. It can only be another example, Mr. Naruhodo, of your uncommon bad luck.
Thanks for that. Oh, this is just my luck. Why must I be represented by a man with such frail fortune? By the least lucky lawyer alive! Well, let's not forget that it was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you. That shut him up. Yes, it's true that I'm just a student, new to London, with little in the way of experience or skills, or luck. But I promise you this. I will fight your corner until the bitter end, and I will believe in you, Mr. Natsume. Oh, benevolent locum student, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire.
You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we will always be on your side.
Oh, benevolent non-locum assistant Miss Mikotopa, Esquiress. Esquiress? Is that real? I am in your debt forever. I shall never forget the... Mr. Natsume, counsel for the defense. The court session is about to begin. Kindly make your way into the courtroom at once. Well, that's that then. All right then, Mr. Natsume, it's time. Let's go. Yes! This is it. My second appearance in a British courtroom. And my second trial against the Reaper. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. Because this time I won't let my faith waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. believe I can do this now. I'm ready for this fight. Yeah. "10 a.m. sharp." Well, I think I just spotted at least 2 familiar faces in the jury. Oh, geez, this is gonna be interesting. "In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsel for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed." "The prosecution is fully prepared, my lord." "The defense is ready, my lord." The Nipponese are a truly fascinating breed." "Sorry, what?" "Lord Strongheart has told me all about you. That you are a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago, a mere amateur." Do you have a point?" "Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try to help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance." "Sir, you're insulting the man you lost to. Take that L." "Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is an appropriate description." "Susato-san." "After all, at our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent." Wait. Did he... What is that beneath his wrist? What is that? Did he always have that? It looks like the palm of a sword, but... the way it's on him, that would make him left-handed, and yet he's swirling that glass with his right hand? What is that? Was that always there? Well, anyway. Very true, and a most fascinating, if dark, trial it was, too. The tragic conclusion came later, of course. Yeah, that is a sword. What the hell? Did he always have that? Am I going insane? Did he always have that? Wait. I don't think he ever drew it last time, did he? I remember him shattering his glass, throwing his glass, putting his foot on the table. But not drawing his sword. Did he ever... whatever. Here's to the acquitted and his unfortunate violent end.
Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine fettle. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duties here in court as impartial members of the public?
Wait, okay. Okay, it's this man, the banker, with the Australian slang, but I can't help but notice that he's looking stiffly to the left. I wonder what he's hiding on his face. You never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone. Well, I must warn you, I'm rather more ruthless than I appear. Wait, is that... He looks so similar to the man from the... That's a different dude, right? Those are some pretty distinct eyebrows and a different hat. Yeah, no, his hat... He actually has a worthy hat that's not slipping off his head every 2 seconds. That's a different person. Looks pretty similar, though. Oh, well, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fellow. I'm afraid to say, I think it's quite possible that mustached foreigner did the deed. Come on, what are we waiting for? No doubt he did it anyway. But sorry, Didn't quite catch that. Very well, let us proceed. Okay. Your opening statement, if you please, Lord Van Zeeks. Very recently, Great Britain signed an alliance with a rising power in the Far East. The accused on the dock today is a student from that same land, a certain Mr. Soseki Natsume. And while our country has extended this foreign student the warmest of welcomes, regrettably the kindness has not been returned. In fact, this student is accused of a most sinister act. Of plunging a knife into the back of an innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the street. A knife crime? I tell you from bitter experience, those are the worst. Bloody oath they are. Oh, well. Well, his face is very clearly not red with a slap, so there goes that joke. Yeah, he would speak from experience. Just look at that sallow complexion and short stature. He's one of those dreadful Japanese. Wow! Okay, just because I'm vocally reading things out does not mean I reflect the views of any of these characters, just so we're clear. Okay. Wow! Come on, let's get this over with. With me now, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, didn't quite catch that. We're gonna have to convince that elderly man in number 6 at some point. He's not gonna hear a word we have to say to him. Pray, forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hallowed chalice here in this great chamber. Sir, you must have like a cabinet full of them. They're not sacred. They're not hallowed. They're disposable. Probably made of sugar glass. Like a movie prop. Allow me to call the first witness to the stand. Very well. Bailiff, lead the inspector in, please. Your name and occupation, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard. Would you please summarize the events of the case for the court, Inspector? The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green. Huh. So it's not Mary from the bookmark. Unless that's an alias. Olive Green. Huh. I beg your pardon, Inspector. I thought to be... Yes, having been stabbed in the back by her attacker's knife, the victim fell unconscious. That was 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since. What? So they don't even know who she is for sure? Comatose, I see. But her life is not in danger. Fortunately for the Eastern student, the charge will not be murder. Pray, elaborate on the details, Inspector. Sir, if I could ask everyone to look at this street map. As I mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago at around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. It had not long since stopped snowing as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed in the back. Luckily, the young lady's life was spared, and she's currently being treated in one of the city's hospitals. But being unconscious as she is, we've been unable to take a statement from her, of course. This is the case file with everything we know about the victim so far. Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the documents as evidence, if you please. Let's take a good, thorough look at that. East side of Briar Road. Reporting officer Rolly Beat. A beat cop. The victim remains unconscious. Her name was gleaned from her personal effects. Other details are unknown. Okay. Well, maybe that bookmark is actually going to be relevant. Maybe it's foreshadowing that just because someone was possessing something with a name on it doesn't mean it's theirs. After all, John Garadeb is not... What, James? What was the other name on the bookmark? Yeah. Apart from the single stab wound from the large knife, no other signs of injury were observed. The assailant was seen running away by the reporting officer and was successfully arrested the following day. What of the weapon that was used? Sir, I have that here. It was removed from the victim's back. A switchblade. Ouch. That big thing is starting to make me scared to walk down the street now. With a heavy blade like that, almost anybody would have been able to stab the poor woman. Even the scragged-looking Soseki-san, I suppose. A common or garden jackknife, I would say. Rather nondescript. Thank you, Inspector. The court accepts the blade as evidence. Large but commonplace. Alright. Let's take a look here. In its current state, it seems wholly unremarkable. Simple wood, maybe brass? Oh. Well, hey now. It looks to me like... the tip of it has been broken off. Hopefully it's not lodged inside the victim. Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo, just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. You're right. Well spotted, Miss Usato. I wonder what could have happened to it. Yes. You don't think it could still be lodged in the victim, do you? Yeah. Oh man, this game is in my brain. Oh dear, I do hope not. That sounds terribly painful. The question is, what broke it? I find it awfully hard to believe that it could easily stab someone with a broken tip like that. I mean, with enough force, it surely would, but... Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume? From what we can tell by looking at the woman's possessions, it seems like she's a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have anything much worth pinching, my lord. I see. Well, in that case, we are looking at some deep-seated resentment toward the victim. I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting second-hand bookshops, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connection between him and the victim.
Yes!
If theft and grievance had been ruled out as the motive, what reason could not Mr. Natsume possibly have had for stabbing the young woman? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in a totally unjustified and heavy-handed way.
Objection!
Oh, come on! That went right into the gallery. Oh, someone's just got splattered by the drink, by the wine. Oh, the clothes are ruined. The shards of glass embedded in their face. Oh, it's awful. Death and destruction everywhere. You know, I think the funniest thing about that is the way he did it. He just pinched it between two fingers. Didn't even curl him, just kept his fingers straight and just backhand flipped it behind his shoulder. How far is this gonna escalate with this man? Okay, I just read the dialogue. It's even funnier. Oh my god. Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging a freshly uncorked bottle into the public gallery. But your words have soured its hallowed bouquet. For it is you, my learned friend, who is being heavy-handed here. What? Okay, I'm good. Composure regained. Scotland Yard does not arrest people without good cause. That should be beyond question. Inspector Gregson, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary came to arrest the Nipponese student. Yes, sir. Alright, here we go. Boy, I could really go for those fish and chips. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred. There was an unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else about but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he'd just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems. It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to, and we found the bloke to arrest him. Old books, you say? Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime taken immediately after the incident. That is a shocking lack of blood. Yes, I can clearly see the books to which you are referring. I will take that photographic print as evidence, please, Inspector. So let's take a look here. First, I want to actually look at the map. So, the assault happened here, and Sosuke lives here. So, as the diagram showed, Sosuke came from the north, went south, and stabbed her, and fled across the street, apparently. Awful lot of long way to walk just to catch up to this lady. Was the lady just standing around? Was she walking too? That is a question worth asking. But, the streets. So the bookshop. Your books. That is 3 books. That does line up with, the amount shown in the photograph. But where is your books? I want to know if it's logical that this street here where the assault happened would be the logical route he would take on his way back home from the bookstore. That is a question I want to ask. Where is your books? There's a bag. I am weirded out by the lack of blood, though. Presumably this is after the body had been lying there for some time. At least 1 minute. But no blood. This franchise does not stray away from showing blood in murder scenes. So why? You Nipponese are a spineless breed, too cowardly to admit defeat. Denying everything despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Well, Forgive me, Lord Van Zeeks, but the defendant is not denying everything, as you put it. What are you doing, Miss Susato? Do go on. Mr. Natsume has admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, now you mention it. When we visited him in the prison yesterday, he did tell us what had all happened. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman, wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. Hold on 1 second. I'm getting a bit warm. Need to take off my coat. Okay. A green overcoat? Well, that's exactly what the woman in that print is wearing. Oh my, a photographic print in full color. What will the world come up with next? Oh yeah, it is in color, isn't it? Huh, we've dealt with black and white prints earlier. Well, that's interesting. The defendant has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of a terrifying incident. That does not mean that he's guilty of the heinous crime of stabbing the woman in the back. There was nobody else there at the time, just the two of them, the victim and the accused. In other words, there is nobody else who could possibly have stabbed the woman. A fact that the accused concedes. Ugh. It seems this cross-examination could prove to be pivotal, counsel. Proceed, please. Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. I have to use this cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog. Did the receipt show the date? The time? Oh, right. 4:45. So it took about 15 minutes of walking to get back to his home. Crap. The time matches up. Well, I suppose that's good, because that corroborates with Natsume's own testimony, so. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog.
Hold it!
A light fog, you say? Well, light for London. You could see the opposite side of the street for once. Not much farther, though. That's light, is it? Around these parts, yes. Not something I'd expect a Japanese fellow like yourself to know, of course. I've read that London is famous for its fog. But in my country, people usually imagine that gives the city a rather beautiful appearance. Just, how quaint. Yes, well, it's not something us Londoners tend to romanticize, as I expect you can appreciate. I see. At this time of year, the fog causes a large number of accidents, especially when it's heavy. Sometimes you can't even see your own hand at the end of your arm. Indeed. The other day, I was very nearly trampled by horses before I could see the carriage they were pulling. Susato-san and I should definitely remember to stop, look, and listen. However, on the day that concerns us, the fog was somewhat lighter than usual. A fact no doubt lamented by the accused. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else about but the victim and the accused.
Hold it!
How are you able to state that with any certainty? Quite simply, my learned friend, because that is what the witness to this crime have told us. Witnesses. Yes, Inspector Gregson mentioned the witnesses yesterday, didn't he? That's right. One of them is a policeman, I believe, from Scotland Yard. That is correct, ma'am. Wrong voice. That is correct, ma'am. Then we must hear their testimony. The prosecution will, of course, call them to the stand, should it be necessary. But wait a minute. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of winter, it would have been dark already. No matter how light the fog might have been, no one could have seen. I'm unaware of the situation in your tiny island in the east. But here in the capital city of Great Britain, all main roads are illuminated in the night by gas streetlights. The prosecution believes there would have been ample light by which to witness the crime. Quite. Here in London, for the first time in history, mankind has completely conquered the darkness. Which means we really need to hear those witness statements. If I could just get through the fog of this cross-examination, maybe we'll be able to... It seems the counsel for the defense is taking stock. Continue with your testimony, Inspector. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement.
Hold it!
From behind, you say? That's right, as you can see from this print. Yes, quite so, Inspector. The handle of the weapon is clearly protruding from the victim's back. And you say this poor woman, Miss Green, remains in a critical condition, comatose no less. I'm afraid so, my lord, yes. She's being treated at Bart's. I was hopeful that she'd come around before the trial started so I could take a statement, but it wasn't to be. Yes, that is indeed a pity. It would have been most illuminating to hear the victim's own account of events. Luck is on your client's side, it seems. On the contrary, my client has been exceedingly unlucky. Your force of tone is seriously undermined by those disturbingly wide eyes, I'm afraid. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor.
Hold it!
Mr. Natsume's belongings? I think you'll find it's all there in the photographic print of the crime scene. Yes, the 3 books on the floor. That's right, my lord. Second-hand books they were, irreparably damaged after falling in the snow, of course. The accused could easily have carried all 3 books in one hand, which means his other hand would have been free to wield a knife, for example. He's very clever, isn't he? What do you mean? He's made it extremely hard for you to assert that Mr. Natsume had his hands full with its books. He's managed to close the one avenue of escape we might have had before we even knew it was there. You mean to say that the defendant was holding his belongings as he thrust the knife into the woman's back? That must be what happened, my lord, yes? Those being a number of old books he just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems.
Hold it!
The defendant apparently visits a second-hand bookshop on a daily basis. Yes, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature. I commend the accused on the lofty subject matter of his scholarly attention. The bloke's room was stacked floor to ceiling with those musty old books. Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector? Well, if I must, I'll have to ask you to look at the street map again, I'm afraid. Ooh? Crap. Right. Oh, shoot. Wait a second. Hold on. Alright. So when I saw that little store there being highlighted, I was like, crap, that does make a direct line of travel from the bookstore to his home. But hold on, that's the wrong bookstore. Bourbon Books? No, it's Your Books. The closest second-hand bookshop to the accused lodgings is this place here, Bourbon Books. Well, it seems like Sosuke has a favorite. A favorite worth traveling 15 minutes to. A little place on the corner of Briar Road and Meerschaum Street. As it happens, the accused is currently living in lodgings on the other side of Briar Road at the opposite end. Which means it doesn't take a genius to work out the route he would have taken home. Something like this.
Yes, I concur with your conclusion, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of the crime on his way home from that particular shop.
Mr. Naruhodo, I think that what the inspector just told us could turn out to be of vital importance. Yes, I agree. The most important point that the inspector just made being the bookshop's name. Inspector Gregson, may I ask you a favor? What? Would you kindly add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? I believe it may be of vital importance. Maybe. Oh, well, you know. I mean, yes, it could be a very important clue.
Very well. Not that I can see it being of any great significance. But please revise your testimony accordingly, Inspector.
Yes, sir, my lord, whatever you say. Could the man be any more sardonic? He was on his way home from Bourbon Books, a second-hand bookshop he apparently patronizes. I'm not sure that's the right word to describe being a patron of something. Right, is it? Well, I already know the solution here, but I want to see all the dialogue, so...
Hold it!
Huh. So the shop is called Bourbon Books, is it? That's right. That's the closest second-hand bookshop to the accused's lodgings. And to get from there back to his room, he would have gone right past the very spot where the incident took place. If I could just confirm one point. Can we be sure that the defendant really did visit Bourbon Books on the day in question? Well, we haven't actually confirmed it, no.
You haven't confirmed it? Why the devil not, Inspector?
Well, the thing is, the shopkeeper has gone on a trip, you see. Left the morning after the incident to collect more stock, I'm told. So we Haven't been able to ask the bloke if the accused visited his shop on the day in question or not. Well, in that case, what did the defendant himself have to say about it? No recollection. What? According to the statement he made at the time, the accused has no recollection of where he'd been. Oh right, I remember Soseki saying that he just stammered like 2 things repeatedly as people barged into his room. Of course he doesn't. The bloke clearly has his head in the clouds whenever he's walking about town. He claims he just wanders into whatever bookshop he happens to be passing and rarely notices the name. I should say the man ought to learn to look where he's going at the very least. So, it's just as I thought then. Is something the matter? Inspector, you may continue with your testimony. It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to, and we found the bloke to arrest him.
Hold it!
You asked for the help of the famous detective, Herlock Sholmes, to locate the defendant, I believe. Stuff and nonsense. Sorry? That jack in office, that busybody, just comes and sticks his oar in whether we ask him to or not. But according to what I have here, Mr. Sholmes was shown to the scene by Scotland Yard detectives. Well, that was nothing to do with me. The lads at the scene must have done it, without my permission. Ugh. I tell him time and time again, whenever something happens, send word to headquarters. Then follow your bloomin' instructions. I see. If that meddler gets his hands on any details, we'll all be reading it in Rand's magazine next month. You can bet your last farthing that I'll be in there too, stripped of all my hard work on the case. Yes, Mr. Sholmes. No, Mr. Sholmes. Aren't you clever, Mr. Sholmes? That's all the thanks I'll be getting. Inspector, if the man is proving detrimental to the Yard's activities, perhaps I should step in and deal with him? Yarg! It appears Inspector Gregson is lost for words. Yes, the Reaper's words carry a lot of weight, obviously. Anyway, the point is this. The little Japanese bloke's already admitted it. He's admitted that those books all over the pavement at the scene were the ones he bought that day. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? If you're unable to sway the jury during this cross-examination, I'm afraid that Mr. Natsume's fate will be sealed. Yes, they're sure to find him guilty. So one way or another, I have to expose an undeniable inconsistency in the inspector's testimony. Well, I know how to do just that. He was on his way home from Bourbon Books, a second-hand bookshop he apparently patronizes. But this receipt says that that day he visited your books.
Objection!
If I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson. What is it, Sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know. This is a receipt that we found in Mr. Natsume's room. It was issued on the day of the incident and details the purchase of 3 second-hand books. And you found that in the accused's room, did you? Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it. Go on. This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books. Your Books? Y-O-R-E, I presume. Yes, my lord. So Mr. Natsume did indeed purchase a number of books at a second-hand bookshop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books. Huh? What?
Inspector, do you know of this other bookshop?
Yes, sir. Your Books is another second-hand bookshop not far from Bourbon Books. It's just that, well, it's such a small place, I didn't think the accused would have known about it.
Objection!
But in fact, that is the bookshop which the defendant visited on the day in question. And this receipt proves it.
Objection!
Yes, for what difference it makes. Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
Objection!
I disagree. I mean, after all, I have the street map here, if that might be of help. Oh, yes, thank you. Have a look at this, please. If the defendant had been returning from Bourbon Books, then yes, he would almost certainly have passed the place where Miss Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact that he was actually at another bookshop, Your Books, it may very well turn out that he wouldn't have passed that location at all. Could that be true? My, it rather depends on where this other bookshop is, but I do declare it may be a possibility. Is that right, Mr. Lawyer, sir? What you just said? Absolutely. It absolutely could be right.
Inspector Gregson, where is this Your Books establishment?
Well, obviously we looked into that. It turns out that Your Books...
Oh, crap.
Oof. Well, we could argue that Sosuke could have gone either way out of the bookshop. It's equidistant.
Uh-oh.
Man, I swear to God, these alleys better be irrelevant. Maybe Sosuke cut through the alleyway and came out onto the street at some point. Is just here on the next corner of Meerschaum Street going east. Right. And there you have it. As you can clearly see now. Oh. My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown, the way he regales us with such witticisms. He's not just the clown, he's the entire circus. To your future career in the circus. You put that glass down now, or I'll put it down for you. I, didn't think I needed to spell it out, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from Your Books instead of Bourbon Books, there's no doubt he still would have passed the place where the victim was stabbed.
Yes, thank you, Inspector.
Allow me to reiterate for my learned, if somewhat slow, Nipponese friend. Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
As I suspected, you can't fool me, and I don't suggest you try.
What did I say, eh? I've had enough of this now.
Beg your pardon. Terribly sorry, but would you mind repeating that? Mr. Naruhodo, we mustn't give up.
What do you mean?
If the prosecution's assertion is correct, the members of the jury may very well decide that Mr. Natsume is guilty.
She's absolutely right.
We must consider the assertion just put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully.
They claim Soseki-san must have passed the location of the incident on his way home from your books, but... Well, I have no choice. I need to raise an objection. The assertion just made by the prosecution is fundamentally flawed. Explain yourself, counsel.
Yes, my lord. You can see what I mean on this map. When returning from your books to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume could have followed the route suggested by the prosecution. However, this isn't the only conceivable route to take between the two places. If the defendant used these streets, look what happens. He arrives back at his lodgings without passing the location where the victim was attacked.
Objection!
Talking back to a clown is a fool's errand, of course. However, I feel compelled to point out that route is what is commonly referred to as the long way around. On a cold winter's night, why would any man choose to take a longer route home?
Well,
The answer is extremely simple. He wouldn't. In other words, the accused took the obvious route back to his lodgings and is the obvious perpetrator of this crime.
Objection!
Yes, I've got it. Obviously, we must ask the man himself. Ask Mr. Natsume which route he took home.
I have already informed the court of the accused's response to such questioning. He claims he has no recollection.
That's right. As I said, the bloke seems to spend his time outside wandering aimlessly from A to B. That day was no exception. He says he doesn't remember where he was or which route he took home. I don't believe this!
I thank you, my learned friend, and suggest that we do not waste any more of the court's time by wandering aimlessly around this subject. Pray, what say you, insightful jurors?
But even if that is the case, the defense still...
Oh! I agree with Lord Van Zeeks, wholeheartedly and in every way.
What? I don't believe it. Does this mean...
We members of the jury are completely convinced now.
Are we gonna have to invoke that stupid, dumb, ancient, antiquated law again?
Very well. In that case, I hereby call upon all members of the jury to present your findings to the court.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! Guilty!
Oh boy. Okay.
It would appear the jury's leaning is unanimous. To the insightful members of the jury, I applaud your brave resolve. You serve Queen and country admirably.
Mr. Naruhodo?
No, not yet. This isn't over yet. I still have one last chance to sway the opinion of the jury. I have to tip the balance of those scales the other way. I have to turn this around. Alright. I think that'll be a good enough place to end things. So is this swaying the jury thing a one-time thing? 'Cause boy... this is quite early. Quite early in the case. One cross-examination, unanimous guilty. Ugh. You know, the last trial we did, in case 3, you had people in the jury and the witness stand, both with, incentives, reasons to want to declare guilty. Maybe it's gonna be true this time, too. Well, God, I mean, maybe not. McGilded was a very prolific man. Fingers in every pie, as it were. Natsume, he's a social recluse, a shut-in, barely exists. If there is anyone with an incentive to want to see him go away, it would be Joan Garadeb, who is on that jury right now. She strangely knows a lot about Sosuke. For reasons we don't know yet, she knows the exact hour he retires to bed. How? She clearly runs surveillance on the poor man, but why and to what end? That is the question. Well, next time I think we will probably be spending most of it trying to convince the jury. We may probably not get the extra witnesses in. I want to see my new favorite character again. That beautiful foppish dandy. I need more of him in my life, please. Please. And of course there is still always the possibility that Olive Green will wake back up. We could get her testimony. Like, either way it swings, whether it looks like we're about to lose or if we're about to win, the board could be flipped by her waking up, coming into this courtroom and testifying. Oh, it's just, there's already a lot of rooms for shenanigans here, and I am here for it. In the meantime, I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you next time. So until then, please take care.